James Gunn wasted no time throwing us straight into chaos this season. Episode 1 of Peacemaker Season 2 is already setting up some wild storylines, crazy Easter eggs, and big DCU tie-ins. Yo, what's good, guys? It's Martez back again, and today we're diving deep into the full breakdown of this episode scene by scene. Trust me, there's a lot to unpack, so stick around, and if you're rocking with the video, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and drop your theories in the comments. Let's talk about it.
Another fish, asshole.
All right, guys, we are officially back in the DCU with Peacemaker Season 2, Episode 1, and wow, James Gunn wastes no time throwing us right into the middle of retcons, alternate universes, Superman connections, and yes, a whole lot more eagly. This premiere is absolutely packed, not just with callback to Season 1, but with new threads that tie directly into the wider DCU. And of course, we're going to break it all down, scene by scene, every Easter egg, every reference, and what this all means for Peacemaker, Superman, and the bigger universe Gunn is building. We open with a recap, but not just any recap. This is James Gunn carefully stitching Season 1 into the new DCU canon. Peacemaker straight up says, previously in the DCU. That's the signal. Everything we saw in Season 1 has always been part of this new universe. Only there are some clever tweaks. For example, Adebayo's flashback line. Originally she said, "Why don't you call the Justice League?" But here it's been re-recorded as Justice Gang. Why? Because back in 2022, when Gunn was writing Season 1, the Justice Gang didn't exist yet. That's his new DCU version of the League, first teased in Superman. So this recap retcons the team into history. And then we get that new Superman DC Studios intro. David Corenswet's Man of Steel front and center, reminding us that yes, the Superman movie is the anchor point of this entire shared universe. One of the funniest new retcons here is Peacemaker puking all over Green Lantern, Guy Gardner. This is a brand new gag inserted into Season 1's timeline, and it pays off later when Peacemaker keeps roasting him, saying Green Lantern's a freak who likes being thrown up on. This is classic James Gunn. In Season 1, the running gag was Aquaman and Fish. But now that Jason Momoa has shifted over to play Lobo, Gunn pivots. In the DCU, the butt of the jokes is Guy Gardner instead. And if you caught it, his flying green carpet is an Aladdin reference, something we didn't see in Superman, but clearly added here for Gunn's sense of humor.
What a meathead.
Screw that guy. You know he tells people I'm a puke freak?
The Peacemaker.
And then comes the big one. The Justice League cameo from Season 1 is rewritten into the Justice Gang. Instead of Ezra's Flash or Momoa's Aquaman, we see Corenswet's Superman, Hawkgirl, Mr. Terrific, Guy Gardner, and even Millie Alcock's Supergirl floating alongside them. James Gunn has clarified Superman isn't officially on the team. He's more of an occasional ally because the Justice Gang itself is a corporate-sponsored team run by Maxwell Lord. And Superman? He's not buying into the corporate branding. This is actually a brilliant setup for the eventual evolution into a true Justice League. Once Batman shows up, he'll bring Wayne Enterprises money, push Lord out, and we'll see Superman officially team up with the A-listers. But that's years down the line. And here's the bigger bombshell. Gunn confirmed Superman is getting 4 movies. The second one is set up as a super family movie, pairing Clark with Millie Alcock's Kara in a team-up. It won't be titled Superman 2 in the traditional sense, but it will serve as the next chapter. Then we'll get a third and a fourth with huge crossover potential baked in. This is why Superman dropped so quickly on digital, only 35 days after release, because Gunn wanted fans to see it before Peacemaker Season 2 started. The connective tissue is that strong. And you feel it immediately in this episode because so much of what's happening with the Justice Gang, with Rick Flag Sr., even with the new alien mystery, directly spins out of Superman's world. We then shift gears into Peacemaker's personal story. He's back in his father's old house, now legally his after killing White Dragon last season, and we revisit the quantum unfolding chamber. In Season 1, it was his father's toy box of dangerous tech, but now it's reframed as something much bigger. A gateway to 99 alternate universes.
Why is it so big in this place?
It's a quantum unfolding storage area. It leads to a dimensional nodule outside normal space.
Well, I guess your dad's pretty brainy for a racist.
This becomes the engine of the entire season. The first hint comes when Eagly scratches at one of the doors, leading Peacemaker to stumble into another version of his house. Only in this reality, his life is perfect. His dad's alive, his brother Keith survived, and his family actually loves him. Gunn even uses subtle details, like a suit of armor that belongs to Keith as an adult, to drive home just how different this world is. It's this contrast. Broken, trauma-ridden Peacemaker in the DCU versus the better version of him in another universe that sets up the core conflict of the season. After that heavy multiverse tease, James Gunn throws us back into something only Peacemaker could pull off. An absolutely ridiculous, over-the-top opening sequence with Foxy Shazam blaring. This isn't just Gunn being quirky. Think about it. In Season 1, we had Do You Want to Taste It by Wigwam, which became iconic. For Season 2, he had to top that. And Foxy Shazam's glam rock chaos nails the tone. Every character gets their moment in the spotlight, but look closely. Gunn sneaks in visual clues about who's going to be important this season. Rick Flag Sr. and Red Saint Wild are right there alongside the main cast, signaling how central they'll be to the plot. The DCU is supposed to feel like a comic book come to life, and these intros, exaggerated, absurd, but strangely sincere, are Gunn's way of making sure you never forget that. All right, so Michael Rooker pulls up as Red Saint Wild, and this is hilarious because James Gunn himself called him Eagly's Lex Luthor. That's right, the whole season, his sole purpose is hunting down Eagly. Not Peacemaker, not the team, the bird. Straight up arch nemesis vibes. Simple, but you already know Gunn's going to have fun with that. Then we pivot to Harcourt, and her life is basically falling apart. She's getting written up at the NSA, kicked out for toxic masculinity. She says it's Waller blackballing her, but the way they play it, it's her own baggage catching up with her, unprocessed trauma. Peacemaker shows up right after, still hung up on this little boat ride they had recently. To him, it was a moment. To her, it was nothing but noise. She doesn't want to deal with it. She's a mess, but he can't see that. He's just desperate for connection, reading everything wrong. And look, maybe there's a flicker of feeling deep down in her, but don't expect anything until the very end of the season. At best, the man's praying for a kiss. So what does Harcourt do instead? She picks a bar fight. Classic Harcourt move. She even drops a Jack Sparrow Pirates of the Caribbean line while she's doing it, but it's not about winning. She just wants to feel something, pain, adrenaline, whatever. And then comes the Keith twist. In this universe, Peacemaker broke up with her. We even see a picture of both of them together, which flips everything we knew, meaning this Harcourt, she's still in love with him. So now we're bouncing across dimensions, and suddenly her whole arc is way messier than before. Next up, Frank Grillo returns as Rick Flag Sr. You'll recognize him from Superman and Creature Commandos. And yeah, the hair thing threw people off. White in one project, dark in the others. Gunn cleared it up. No, it's not some secret multiverse clue. Grillo just couldn't dye his hair gray at the time. That's it. But here's what actually matters. Flag Sr. only takes over Amanda Waller's role because she's done. Out. Facing congressional charges after the fallout of the Suicide Squad, and he's not stepping in out of loyalty or duty. Nope. It's personal. He wants all of Argus's resources at his disposal for one mission: avenging his son. Rick Flag Jr., Peacemaker, killed him in the Suicide Squad, and Sr. is not letting that go. That's his entire drive this season. Now, the episode flow stays tight. We've gone from the goofy Eagly versus Red Saint Wild subplot straight into Harcourt's broken state. And then landed heavy with the Argus Flag storyline, balancing comedy, character drama, and the big DCU tie-ins. We circle back to the Quantum Chamber, and this is easily one of the most emotional beats of the episode. Peacemaker steps into that alternate universe where his family never fell apart, and for a moment, you can see him wanting to stay there. His brother Keith is alive, his father isn't a racist supervillain, his life has meaning.
What are you doing out here? I thought you were in Bloodhaven.
This is where John Cena absolutely kills it as an actor. For all the jokes, for all the absurdity, Cena's performance makes you believe Peacemaker is torn apart inside. This alternate world represents everything he wishes he had, but never will. It also sets up the central conflict of the season. The multiverse isn't just a plot device, it's a temptation. And for someone as broken as Peacemaker, that temptation is deadly.
Christopher, I thought you were in Blue Dave.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Well, the three amigos are together again. I believe that calls for a celebration.
That's pretty clear thinking for a man of such advanced years.
Why, you...
Hey here, old man, before you get hurt.
And then the twist, he's not the only Peacemaker in the multiverse.
Who the are you?
The episode ends with Peacemaker literally facing off against another version of himself. This doppelganger is stronger, cleaner, sharper. Basically, everything DCU Peacemaker isn't. James Gunn is pulling a classic comic book move here. What better way to test a character than to make him fight himself? But it's not just a cool fight setup. This alternate Peacemaker is a mirror. He forces Chris Smith to ask, what kind of man am I really? And in true Gunn fashion, the last shot before the credits isn't the action. It's Chris's face after realizing what he has done. Really can't wait to see how this plays out. So what does this all mean? Well, Season 2 is clearly setting up Peacemaker as a core character in the DCU multiverse saga. He's not just comic relief. He's not just the guy with a pet eagle. He's the guy standing on the front lines of a multiversal war, one that ties into Superman, the Justice Gang, Rick Flag Sr., and eventually the wider Justice League. And let's be honest, only James Gunn could take a washed-up, D-list antihero and make him the emotional and narrative anchor of an entire cinematic universe.